Denise. Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. Denise. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Hello there, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It is April 20th, and we are going to be chatting about a very eventful edition of AEW Dynamite. I honestly felt very overwhelmed by today's show because there was just so much to talk about in terms of storylines, in terms of matches, upcoming matches that were announced, directions in which we're headed. And on top of that, they made this massive announcement, which had already been speculated as it had already been reported, but it's still, nothing's for sure until it's officially announced that we are officially getting our first ever joint show between New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW. On top of that, we got a massive match announcement announced for AEW Rampage on Friday. There's just a lot happening. There's a lot to think about here today, but we're going to go ahead and dive right into all of that. We're going to get into this show in just a second, but before I get started, as always, I want to thank each and every single person tuning into this show. Without you guys, this show would not be possible, so thank you so much. On top of that, if this is a very interactive show, if at any point you guys want to send in your thoughts, your comments, you are more than welcome to. But if you want to make sure your comment, question, or statement gets read on this show, 100% guaranteed, you are more than welcome to send in a super chat. Not only does your super chat get your comment read on here, but F4W Online does allow me to keep 100% of the proceeds from all super chats after YouTube takes their fair share of my money. So feel free to do so, guys. And let's go ahead and dive right into the show, everybody. Kicking us off with our first super chat of the night. Good friend here, Pile Driver Finisher, who says, keep up the great work, Denise. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. We got a lot to get into. All right, so I'm going to run through the show in a nice chronological format just because everybody is kind of used to that. So we're going to stick to that and make our way into the show. So one of the matches that was announced here tonight was CM Punk versus Dustin Rhodes. It was announced a couple, days ago, etc., that this match would be happening here tonight. Now, heading into the show, one of the things that everybody was, really buzzing about was obviously Tony Khan's big announcement, but CM Punk versus Dustin Rhodes and the Coffin match were two of the matches that I was really looking forward to for today's show. And CM Punk and Dustin opened up the show, and I gotta tell you guys, here's the thing about Dustin. He always gets it right. He always goes out there and just does a tremendous job. And so you knew that you were going to get a banger of a match with him and CM Punk. Now, this ended up being a really good match, but I think it was a good match for different reasons. The reasons I think it was a good match was literally because of the storytelling that we got throughout this match. Like, there was just so much selling in this. There was so much storytelling between CM Punk and Dustin Rhodes. I absolutely loved that from the very beginning, it started off with these two guys shaking their hands. So they shake each other's hands, show a sign of respect, and all of that. Then quickly they get into this match. You start to see a bunch of arm drags and all of this. And they kind of not size each other up, but they kind of check to see what the other person is going to be bringing to the table in this match. And so you see that right away. But then as this match continues to progress, we see CM Punk go after, I believe it was, the left knee of Dustin Rhodes. You see him go after that plenty in this match. You see moments in which this starts to affect Dustin. There's a spot which I really, really loved where Dustin is punching CM Punk, punching him multiple times. And as he jumps down, because he's on the turnbuckle, as he jumps down, he ends up falling to one leg because of all of the damage that CM Punk had done to that left knee of Dustin Rhodes. It was little things like that I kind of feel just made this match so much better. And then on top of that, I thought commentary did a really good job at basically saying like how many years of experience Dustin Rhodes has, how many matches he's wrestled, etc., and how this is a first-time match that, nobody really expected was going to actually happen. Like, nobody thought we were actually going to get this match. So I think they did a really, really good job of that. Another portion that I really enjoyed in this match was CM Punk locking in the figure 4 leg lock on Dustin Rhodes and them kind of going like back and forth. With a couple of strikes to each other, slapping each other back and forth. I really, really liked that. Dustin hitting the pile driver, going for the pin. It ended up being a near fall. CM Punk never actually getting the GTS on Dustin Rhodes, but still getting the win. I thought was a pretty good story. And then on top of that, they gave this match a lot of time. I think they even gave it more time than I was expecting. At like one point during the match, I thought, man, they're really going all in on this match. They're giving it so much time. I appreciated this match for what it was. It was probably one of the most different things that we got on this entire show. So very different match, but an overall entertaining match. And lastly, before we get into what happened afterwards, we did get a nice little, I thought it was very endearing when we had Dustin Rhodes and CM Punk kind of hugging like father and son. I don't know, man. It was just a nice, it was a nice, endearing thing. But also, after the match, we finally had this confrontation as CM Punk is walking out. We hear Hangman Page's music hits, and he comes out, and they have this confrontation with Hangman Page and CM Punk. And I was like, hell freaking yes, because I cannot wait for that. Those are two guys that, a lot of people, including myself, are big fans of. And to kind of just see them, in the ring together, I think is going to be really excited. Like, CM Punk is CM Punk, and we're all excited about that, right? But Hangman Page is, one of those talents that AEW has really turned into a star in his own right. So I think it's going to be really cool to kind of see both of these guys mix it in the ring together. But guys, let's get your thoughts. How did you feel about Dustin versus CM Punk? How did you feel about Hangman Page coming out and confronting CM Punk and having that little face-off? What did you guys think? Let's get some thoughts in here, guys. Also, thank you to Kyler James here, who's moderating this chat tonight, who says that the match was actually 20 minutes long. So yeah, that was a pretty lengthy match for sure. Let's see what we got. Let's get some good comments in here. This is from Bobby, who says, Punk, Dustin, and matches like that show that great pro wrestling can be great entertainment. You don't need gimmicks to deliver some great fun. There was a quote from Jim Ross in this match that I get what he meant, but it kind of came out a little bit funny because he was like, he said something along the lines of, it's amazing that wrestling fans today still love wrestling. And I get what he was trying to say, but it came across as like, duh, but it was kind of funny though. Anyways, we got people pretty much putting over this match here today, and I think that we can all agree that it was good stuff, everybody. And a lot of people are mentioning that they're probably expecting to see Punk and Adam Page at Double or Nothing, and it kind of feels like that's the direction that we're going in, and I think that's the match that you got to do. That is a marquee match. That is a headlining match that personally, Double or Nothing seems like the best option for that. Definitely. We got a massive super chat here from Roberto Arsenal. Thank you so much to Roberto, who says, give me Kenta versus Punk, Naito versus Adam Cole, Danielson versus Okada, Ospreay versus Sammy Guevara. I am more hyped for this pay-per-view than WrestleMania. We'll talk about our dream matches in just a second, but thank you so much to Roberto for getting a head start on this one here, but we'll get into that in just a second here. And we also have a comment here from Srith Kanth, who points out that it's always nice to see CM Punk opening the show. And yeah, I agree with that. Alrighty, let's get into this, everybody. So after this, we got a 6-man tag match. This was Bryan Danielson, Wheeler Yuta, Jon Moxley taking on Brock Anderson, Dante Martin, and Lee Moriarty. This was fun stuff. This was for me, I want to say that my favorite portions of this, or not so much my favorite portions, but some of the stuff that particularly stood out to me. And what stood out to me, honestly, was Dante Martin. Like, Dante Martin has been he's been pretty impressive in all of his matches, right? But just like him going out there, and you're getting a lot of these guys going in there and doing this hard-hitting type of style. And then you have Dante Martin just like flying everywhere, showing off his agility, hitting those insecurities and drop kicks, doing there was a moment where he did a springboard moonsault, but he ends up finding himself caught by Jon Moxley, who locks him into a bulldog choke. It was little things like that personally for me, he kind of stood out a little bit from everybody else just because he was doing something different there. But this was a really straightforward match. You got, the Blackpool Combat Club doing their thing, kicking ass, doing their job there. On top of this, I'm trying to think, there was a moment that I wanted to talk about. And yes, Lee Moriarty was also somebody else that I feel like I had to mention, because there was a moment where he like kicked Yuta on the outside of the ring, and I really liked that. He ended up going at it with Bryan Danielson, and he like had the nerve. He had the nerve to slap Bryan Danielson, and Bryan Danielson slaps him back, gets him with a couple of uppercuts. I thought that was all really good stuff too. And we end up seeing Jon Moxley get the win for his team after he hits the paradigm shift on Dante Martin. So we kind of saw a little bit of everything here, but overall it was a straightforward, entertaining match. I liked it. Good stuff there. And let's go ahead and see. This is from official Matt Games, who says, "It's sad to say, but Arn's group comes across as jobbers. It's like, I'd like to see less of them on Dynamite, to be honest," says official Matt Games. Honestly, Sean Williams says Denise likes a Brock Anderson match. No. I liked this match, but I think that the reasons why I liked it were because of a lot of the other people that were in this match. You guys already know how I feel about that. But truthfully, it was a straightforward match. It was good. It was harmless. All right. It was entertaining. There were entertaining portions, a lot of which included Dante Martin, Bryan Danielson, Moxley, and Lee, and all of that. But I do agree in some sort of sense with this, because I think for a while they were kind of pushing Dante Martin and really highlighting him and really featuring him. And it kind of slowed down a little bit. Like, I don't think he's as featured as somebody like a Wheeler Yuta. He's featured obviously a lot differently. And considering now that he's been adopted by the Blackpool Combat Club, things are definitely shaping up for him. In terms of like Lee Moriarty, like, we all know that he's pretty good, but in terms of seeing them as like top Dynamite guys, they're not there yet. We don't see it there yet, but they're working their way up there. We got a super chat. Thank you so much to Brandon Rosen, who says, "William Regal's commentary is phenomenal. I would much rather hear him than Chris Jericho on Rampage to give Regal the job." So I want to mention something. Thank you to Brandon, who just reminded me of this. So every time that William Regal said like, "Oh, thank you, Mr. Ross," or something, Mr. Ross, I kept thinking he was saying Mr. Arse, like arse. Yeah. So that kept throwing me off. It was 2 times where he did it where I was like, "Ha, Mr. Arse." Anyways, but he was saying Mr. Ross. Thank you to Brandon Rosen for sending in that super chat there. Let's go ahead and get some comments in here and see what people are saying. This is from Al Profe Jr., who says that Brock should have taken the pin. I agree. I don't think Dante Martin should have been the guy to take the pin. I think that out of all these 3 guys, again, he was one of the guys that has been, somewhat featured a little bit differently than Brock Anderson. I do think that if I were going to say like which of these 3 guys is going to take the pin, I would have assumed that it was going to be Brock Anderson, but nope, it ended up being Dante Martin, which I did think was a little bit surprising there. Alrighty, and let's go ahead and continue on from here, guys. But let's get into a video package that we got for Satnam Singh. So that was an interesting way that we ended Dynamite last week. We kind of already covered all that. Tony Khan already came out and basically said, you know what? In hindsight, he wishes he could have done things differently. That was last week's drama. We're moving on to this week. There was no drama with Satnam Singh this week, but we did get a promo package in which it looks like we're going to be getting Satnam Singh and Samoa Joe. So, I mean, that was obviously figured right after the attack. Cool. But they're hyping up Satnam Singh. Sanjay Dutt saying that, he's going to, he's been the guy representing India. And now that Satnam Singh is going to be the guy to take over, that represent a whole entire country. I like this. I actually thought that they did a good job hyping up Satnam Singh. And we all know why Satnam Singh is there. Dave Meltzer already talked about that, basically it being a push for AEW in India. So we already know why he's there, why they're doing what they're doing, even though a lot of the people did not, including myself, did not like the way that things turned out last week. We get what they're doing. We get what they're going for. And now we're just moving forward with it. On top of that, he tells Samoa Joe that his time is coming up. And that's going to be interesting, but Samoa Joe is going to end Satnam Singh. Whatever. All right. Any thoughts on this? Let's see what we got here. If we got any comments on Satnam Singh or Samoa Joe, but I think that's pretty much. Now everybody's talking about Chris Jericho. All right. I'm moving on. Actually, this is from JD Varnell, who says, I wouldn't be surprised if in a couple of months, Satnam Singh gets borrowed by MJF to take on Wardlow as part of Singh's buildup later on down the road. I was going to agree with this for like a hot second, but I just think like what he's doing with Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal, that seems to be the stronger direction for him. But I could see MJF maybe borrowing him for like a night or something to like try to go after Wardlow. But here's the thing though, right now, like Wardlow's hot stuff right now. He's hot stuff. You don't want to ruin any sort of his momentum that he has going right now. Like the dominoes are falling into place for Wardlow, but Satnam Singh right now, because it's going to take a lot more to get Satnam Singh over with with the AEW viewers, I think. And so you don't want to see him like essentially, job out to Wardlow because everybody's going to like Wardlow so much more. So you need to protect Satnam Singh right now. And if he's the guy that they're, investing in and they're doing all of this with, I can't imagine him right now in a match with Wardlow, but we'll see. But thank you so much to JD Varnell for sending this in. But we got a massive super chat from Juan Rodarte. Thank you so much, Juan. He says, the Coffin match started off good and just fell off. Darby should stick to body bag matches. The wrong person won the match. Danielson versus Okada is the only main event we need. Love the podcast, Denise. Thank you, Juan, for sending in your thoughts. We'll get to the Coffin match in just a second, and we'll get to some of the match dreams or match hopes that I think people want to see for the Forbidden Door show. And so we'll get to that in just a second here. Alrighty, so after this, actually, it's time already. Never mind. It's time for the announcement. So, thoughts, everybody. Start filling up this chat. Start firing it up because this is the play. This is the moment. This is it. Tony Khan's big announcement here today. So let's talk about this because there's kind of a lot to get into. A lot happened in these couple of moments that I was like trying my hardest to keep up with everything. I was like, shit, this was said. Shit, that was said. Oh my God, that's a big deal. Okay, that's a big deal. Oh crap, now I got to think about this. All right. So Tony Schiavone introduces Tony Khan. Tony Khan comes out to do his huge announcement, but he immediately brings out the president of New Japan Pro Wrestling, Takami Obari. He brings him out, and I'm like, all right, so we officially know that the rumors are true, that it is going to be, something New Japan related, etc., right? That they're most likely going to be doing the Supercard show. But then, so he comes out, the president comes out, and he ends up shaking hands with Tony Khan. They have their moment, they shake their hands, and immediately we go to Adam Cole on the screen, and I'm thinking, oh my God. Like for a split second, I was like, oh my God, please don't tell me that was the announcement, like just the handshake and that's it. Like it's going to be left to the viewers to like decide what's going to happen. I legitimately for a split second thought that they were going to do that. And I was like, oh no. But then we get Adam Cole on the screen, and thankfully he fills us in a little bit more on what's happening. He interrupts on the big screen, and he basically says that he's the one who deserves to be making this announcement. He then goes on to announce that the Forbidden Door is going to be taking place, and then it's going to be a joint show between AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling, a super show at the United Center in Chicago on June 26th. So he mentions that, and that's the first major, the major announcement, right? That's the major announcement. On top of that, he's like, oh yeah. And then on this Friday, we're for Rampage in an Owen Hart Cup qualifying match. It's going to be Tomohiro Ishii versus myself, Adam Cole. So then we get that on top of that. Then he says that he wants to have a friend coming out. And then we get Jay White who comes out. Jay White comes out and he basically, he says that he, quote, single-handedly sold out Madison Square Garden when they did that Ring of Honor New Japan show. And that he said that, for the Undisputed Era and for the Bullet Club, that it is still their era. So there's a lot to talk about with all of this here. So first and foremost, let's talk about the show. So again, this had already been out there. This was already a rumor. This was already reported that this was going to be the announcement. Now we just have like the official title of the show, the name of the show, the official date for the show, and the official location for the show. So in regards to that, I'm excited for the show. I think on a scale of like 1 to 10, and I was asking a bunch of people how they felt about this, everybody was like 10, 100, this and that. I think for me, it's going to depend. It's going to be until the moment where they start announcing what the marquee matches are, where I feel like I'm going to get to a level of excitement. Like, I'm excited about the possibilities. I would say I'm at like a 7 or an 8 just because of the, I think the grandeur of it all. Like, we already know that AEW and New Japan had, some sort of working relationship as we've seen it on, on the show itself, right? But now, like, this is like the big, I guess you can say, leap where we're getting an actual show with them together. So my excitement for the announcement is like a 7, 8. I'm going to be more excited once I know what matches we're going to be getting. Also, I'm curious as to how they're going to format the show. And by that, I mean, when New Japan did their joint show with Noah, they had a lot of, multi-man matches, and that was what we saw a lot of, with a couple of marquee matches. So I'm wondering if they're going to do something similar with AEW where they do, a bunch of multi-man matches, or if they're going to do like a bunch of multi-man matches with a couple of marquee matches, or if we're just going to get like a bunch of like dream matches that we want to see, right? Like the entire show is like, dream matches or like cool matchups that people want to see between AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling. So I think that's what has me a little bit interested. Like, I wonder what the layout of the show is going to be. And given that, and I will say this, I feel like because this is like the first time ever and the way that it was announced and all of that, I really do think that this is going to be a show that is going to get a lot of people that are going to be traveling to the show, like from different parts of the United States, etc. This feels like one of the shows that you're like, okay, I'm going to travel and go out of my way to go to this show because it feels like it's generated that amount of buzz. So that's another thing that I want to say. On top of that, I feel like, obviously New Japan Pro Wrestling, they've, things haven't been so great for them, ever since the pandemic and COVID and all of that. We are all fully aware that they haven't necessarily been the hottest product out there, and things haven't necessarily been, going the way that they might have wanted it to. So I think that this show and this announcement with AEW legitimately is like one of the best things to happen to New Japan Pro Wrestling since like the pandemic and everything started. I think this is going to regenerate some buzz for the product. So I'm really happy for them on that end of things because, again, I just feel like this is going to, again, regenerate that buzz for New Japan Pro Wrestling, period. Because like, it's so crazy because, I was going to the New Japan shows when they first started coming out here to Los Angeles, when they were doing the Long Beach shows and all of that. They were jam-packed, full of excitement. And then recently I went to a New Japan Strong show and it was just so different. And I know that it's, different rosters with a couple of guys, that are, part of the main roster and all of that. But it is an entirely different like vibe from like those shows and then the New Japan Strong shows. And so for me, I'm just like, all right, this is something that New Japan legitimately needed here with AEW. So I think this is going to be really good for them. And then right now I'm going to go into the dream matches, but let's go ahead and get some thoughts because I'm seeing a lot of super chats come in here. Once again, if you want to get your question, your comment, or your statement read on the air, 100% guaranteed, you can send in a super chat. So we got one from Sheldon Jackson who says, the show will be fine. I believe it will be better than the G1 Supercard when New Japan Pro Wrestling matches delivered, but Ring of Honor matches did not and stunk up MSG. AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling will deliver amazing matches from top to bottom. See, like, that's the thing. Like, I was at that show, the Madison Square Garden show. If I recall, I caught the entire show, or I got there like somewhere between like the middle beginning, somewhere along that. I forgot exactly what point I arrived to the show, but I was at that show, and I just remember like people were so freaking like excited to be there. It was such a good vibe because you're in Madison Square Garden. For a lot of people, including myself, it was my first time watching a show in Madison Square Garden. So I get that a lot of people were like, oh, the Ring of Honor matches weren't that great. I get it. I think I felt differently just being there in the audience itself, but I do think in terms of like the card top to bottom, regardless of the format and how many marquee matches they decide to put on there, I think it's going to be a pretty awesome show top to bottom. And this is the thing, like, because I said, I feel like this is going to be a show that people travel to, and they're going to know that, and they're going to, make sure people get their monies and time worth it. So thank you to Sheldon Jackson for sending that in. We got another one from Dustin Martin who says, question here, is the show AEW versus New Japan Pro Wrestling matches, or is it each company putting on separate matches like G1 Supercard? Just give me Danielson versus Okada, please. I feel personally that it should be AEW versus New Japan Pro Wrestling. I feel that that is the big part of the appeal to the show, is, us wanting to see, certain AEW guys go up against certain New Japan guys. Like, that is the appeal of the show. So personally, I do hope that they format it that way. And, yeah, I personally do hope they format it that way and they could do like a G1 Supercard style where you just have your AEW matches and your New Japan matches, but for me, I think it would feel like a bigger deal is if they did the AEW versus New Japan guys. It just feels more like what people want to see. Thank you so much to Justin Martin for sending that in as well. We got a super chat from Christopher Marino who says there better be a Stardom AEW match on the show. Who knows? Thank you so much to Christopher Marino for also sending that in. And all right, so let's talk about some of these dream matches, guys. We mentioned that a lot of us might want to see, New Japan talent versus AEW talent. Who is it? What matches do you want to see? What is the dream? The dream where you're like, they better do this, or I hope they do this. Let's get some thoughts in here. I wrote some of mine down, and I have a couple of serious ones, and then I have one for shits and giggles. The first serious ones, I think that the match we need to see is Okada and Bryan Danielson. Like that I don't like, I would be stunned if they didn't do that. Like, stunned if they didn't do Okada Danielson. Like, that is, I don't even know how to describe it. I feel like that is just a dream. Like, when we talk dream matches, that's a dream right there. On top of that, I do hope, and we also mentioned the fact that Jay White was here as well. I don't know if they're going to do like Jay White, Kenny Omega. I don't even know if Kenny Omega is going to be there. I don't even know. We don't even know yet. Like, be there wrestling on the show. I don't know. Anyways, Punk Tanahashi, CM Punk and Hiroshi Tanahashi, I think could be like another one that would be like, oh shit, like this is a match we never thought was going to happen. It's happening, right? Another option for Tanahashi, I think, would be Jon Moxley. I think that would be another awesome matchup there. And then, for shits and giggles, ladies and gentlemen, Toru Yano and Orange Cassidy, or Toru Yano and Danhausen. Sue me. I'm here for the laughs too, everybody. So those are some of the matches that I had in mind, but let's go. But there's limitless options here. There's a lot of options and a lot of ways in which they can go with this. So I'm going to pull up some of this here and see what people are saying here today. We got Major Blood suggesting Evil Uno versus Toru Yano. That could also be something here. Sticker Red says Shingo versus Danielson. over Okada versus Danielson. Interesting. I personally still want to see Okada Danielson. Okada Danielson for me is like, that would be top-notch stuff, man. And almost like you wouldn't believe that it's even happening, that sort of thing. Sean Williams says Punk versus Kenta. We got Craft suggesting Danielson versus Zack Saber Jr. That would also be really good too. Punk versus Okada. Jay White versus Samoa Joe. We also had somebody earlier suggest the Golden Lovers versus the Young Bucks in a rematch there. And we had another person suggest Orange Cassidy versus Toru Yano. Santana and Ortiz versus G.O.D. says Devil Within. Ospreay versus CM Punk says Bonkers. Let's see. Let me go through a couple more and see what else people are saying in regards to matches they would like. We got more people suggesting Bryan Danielson versus Zack Saber Jr. We got Sheldon saying Danielson, Zack Saber Jr., G.O.D. versus FTR, Naito versus Andrade. A good one there too. Thank you for adding that last one because I didn't even think about that till right now. Keith Lee versus Jeff Cobb, Samoa Joe versus Shingo. People are throwing out here Ishii versus Samoa Joe. Ooh, that's good. Okay. So there you go. We got some good options in here. And again, I think the matches that people want to see are definitely AEW talent versus New Japan Pro Wrestling talent. And I think that's the way that they should go about it. Alrighty. And now the Rampage match. I want to take a second to talk about the fact that we're going to get Adam Cole versus Tomohiro Ishii. That's going to be good. I think that I'm just so excited for that one. I was going to say, I don't think I've been this excited about match for a long time, but then I was like, wait, no, shut up, Denise. You just saw Minoru Suzuki and Samoa Joe, and you were really excited about that. I'm as excited for Adam Cole and Ishii as I was for Minoru Suzuki and Samoa Joe. Like, legitimately, I shit you not, okay? That is exactly my level of excitement for this match. I think that for those that are going to be new to Tomohiro Ishii, that are going to be, I don't know, maybe watching him for the first time, I don't know. I think that they're going to be pleasantly surprised, or not surprised, but they're going to enjoy themselves. They are going to enjoy themselves. And I just want to see a hard-hitting match. I'm just so excited for that one. I'm excited for that one. All right, let's see if there was anything else I wanted to cover about this before we move on. I think I got everything that I wanted to talk about, but if there was something that I forgot to mention or talk about in regards to the announcement, please let me know because I might have forgotten something. Alrighty, so now Kyler James reminds me that Punk tweeted Okada in like January to meet him at the United Center. Shit, I had forgotten about that. Like, legitimately forgotten about that. Alrighty, let's go ahead and move on from here. So, once again, for those of you guys who are watching this show, first of all, I want to remind you guys that I will be back this Friday to talk about SmackDown and Rampage. So that's going to be a good time. Friday shows, man, we're shaping up, everybody. And then next week, I will be back once again for Tuesday's NXT 2.0 coverage, and then Wednesday, AEW Dynamite coverage. Alrighty, but now let's move on to Wardlow versus The Butcher. This was very, very simple and straightforward. You had MJF and Shawn Spears up in the skybox eating their popcorn, being all, the way they are. And Wardlow is forced to come out with no music because MJF says he cannot have music. He comes out with security guards like he's a man that's about to be, you know what this reminded me of? Oh my God, I just thought about this. Quick. Oh my God. Con Air. Oh my gosh, do you guys remember? Please give me the name of the guy, the one that sings, the creepy guy, the one that sings, we've got the whole world in our hands. We got the whole wide. Okay, him, the guy in Con Air. If anybody remembers his name, you know how he comes out and he's like all like strapped up and he can't be left alone because he's just a savage and he's going to go mad and he has to come out with like all of these like cops and stuff. That's kind of what Wardlow reminded me of today, except without all of the straps and stuff. So for me, I'm like super, I was impressed by that, especially because when he comes out, he has the match with the Butcher. The Butcher kind of went a little savage on him too. The Butcher starts biting him. He's hitting him with headbutts. Like he's just freaking trying to kill the guy. And that was the point because that's what MJF wanted to do, right? To like beat down Wardlow. It was not necessarily just getting the win, but rather, beating the hell out of Wardlow, right? It doesn't happen. Wardlow hits 4 power bombs, gets the win, and then gets escorted out by security because, again, he's a man that can just go crazy and start killing people. And thank you to everybody. Here we go. No, not Cyrus the Virus. No, is it Garland Green? I think it's Garland Green or Steve Buscemi. I don't know. Was that his name in Con Air, though? I don't remember. Whatever. It was that guy. You guys know which one I'm talking about. Garland Green. Thank you. It's Garland Green. I'm pretty sure it's Garland. Anyway, so that's exactly what he reminded me of, except in like a non-creepy way. More of like in a badass way, like more impressive. All right. So now let's go ahead and jump into our next one here. And next up, we got the Owen Hart qualifier match between Jungle Boy and Kyle O'Reilly. Decent match here. We get a nice back and forth exchange off the top. We see Jungle Boy hit Kyle O'Reilly with a nice drop kick. We see Kyle O'Reilly go for the arm bar, but Jungle Boy ends up not taking it. He's prepared for it and whatnot. Kyle O'Reilly ends up hitting 3 suplexes. We go to commercial break. We come back from commercial break. We see Kyle O'Reilly for the finish. We see Kyle O'Reilly hit a modified brain buster, climbs up the ropes, does a diving knee drop, gets the win. Kyle O'Reilly advances in this tournament. And I got to tell you, I think this was the best option in terms of who's gonna move on here, because this was Kyle O'Reilly's. I believe this was his first singles match in AEW, and I was like, "Damn, really?" They said that in commentary, and I didn't even realize that it was his first singles match on AEW until they said it. I was like, "What?" So when he said that, I was like, "Dude, he really needed this win here." Then, like Jungle Boy is fine. Kyle O'Reilly getting the win here. That was exactly what they needed to do here. And he's advancing now into the Owen Hart tournament, Owen Hart Cup tournament. And so far, it's just him and Samoa Joe as of right now. But it's looking good. So I thought that the right guy won for this one here. All righty. And now let's go ahead and move on from this. We got the AEW Dynamite in-ring debut of Hook. He takes on Anthony Henry. And this was, his first AEW Dynamite in-ring match. Not his Dynamite debut, but his in-ring debut. You guys know. And quick win. He ends up getting the red rum on Anthony Henry. He gets the win on him. Easy peasy. But during this, we had Danhausen coming out. Danhausen tries to curse Hook again. This is now, I believe, the 3rd or 4th time that he tries to curse Hook, but it just doesn't happen. It's not working. He doesn't understand why it's not working. He gets into the ring. He's frustrated. He's got the mic. He's got his funny voice on, and he tells him like, he basically says like he wants to fight. Like if he's not going to be cursed, like then he needs to like deal with him, right? So he's pretty much challenging Hook to a fight. He even puts his finger on his chest. He kind of regrets it a little bit afterwards from the looks of it. And Hook completely no-sells it. He completely no-sells it and just bounces out. So I just want Danhausen and Hook to be best friends. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I need it to happen. I need to be like, there's got to be something like, why is it that Danhausen cannot curse Hook? There's got to be a reason. What is the reason? They're best friends. They're meant to be BFFs. I don't know. Come up with a reason. Let's see what we got here, guys. Let's get some comments here and see what people are saying. Let's see. This is from Labor Days. It says, Undisputed Elite have lost too many matches to guys they should have never lost to. Hope this goes somewhere worthwhile. And the Cooch 97 says Wardlow will be in full Hannibal Lecter straight jacket gear soon coming into the ring. That'd be pretty funny. But no, it wouldn't make sense to. I mean, if MJF wanted to be like a douche and like put him like in a straight jacket or something and be like, oh, you got to walk to the ring in like a straight jacket, then he could do something like that. But it doesn't necessarily go with the Wardlow character. It would have to be something that's like implemented in him by like MJF, but not something that is his character, because he's not like a psycho. He's just mad, and he should be mad with everything that he's going with. Alrighty, let's go ahead and move on from here, guys. And let's see what we the Cooch 97 says it's the chips, Denise. Hook's weakness. Corey Conway says Hook is his kryptonite. All right. Mike New York says, will Taz approve of Hook's new friend? I don't know, man. know. It's kind of like every parent, I feel there's so many parents that like don't like that one friend you have. Like we've all had that one friend that our parents were like, "Ill, you're friends with that person." Who knows? That could be that person for Taz, where he's like, "You're gonna be friends with Danhausen." We all know that friend that was not liked by our parents. All right, moving on after this, we got a Thunder Rosa video package in which she's talking about retaining her title at Battle of the Belts against Nyla Rose. From here on out, she basically says that she wants to continue to prove that she's the best in the world. She says that it's time for double or nothing. And my thoughts on this, guys, is they need to put Thunder Rosa on these shows, wrestling matches, wrestling. I don't care who, any of the other girls that they have out there. I don't want it to be the situation where like we never see the champion wrestling in the ring. We've just been getting like a bunch of video packages. We got, obviously her title defense at Battle of the Belts, but I want to also see her wrestling on the show. Like, I feel like that is what makes a champion like so much, not so much better, but it like makes them feel more important when they're on the show, constantly wrestling and having matches. So personally, like for me, I wish that they would give more matches to Thunder Rosa on Dynamite or Rampage or both or whatever, because she just needs to be seen. She's the champion. She needs to be seen. Those are my thoughts on that. But we got a super chat, very generous super chat from Bridget Hewlett. Thank you so much to Bridget, who says, I marked out hard for Danhausen. Who doesn't these days, guys? Danhausen gets the people going. That kind of sounded a little wrong. I don't know. Thank you so much to Bridget Hewlett for the very kind and generous super chat. All right, so let's go ahead and move on from here, and let's see what we got here. This is Pile Driver Finisher, who says, is Nyla Rose her opponent again or someone else? She did say double or nothing, but I think she meant like double or nothing the pay-per-view. I don't know if she meant double or nothing with Nyla Rose, like where they have to go at it again or it's nothing. That's a good question. I'm not too sure. I'm not positive on this one. Oof. All right, let's move on from here, guys. And this is from Major Blood, who says it feels like the tag champs and TNT TBS champs get way more matches on TV than the world champs. The TNT title is definitely defended a lot. I think the way that the TNT title is defended is a good amount. The TBS championship with Jade Cargill, she's, for the most part, like they've been consistently going with her. They've been building up this, 30th match with her and Marina Shafir for a while. But before that, like all her matches before that were consistently happening. So I do think that they should, do a little bit more with the AEW Women's World Championship on there. And yeah, we got people agreeing. Yep. Honestly, like people want to see a fighting champion, and that's what Thunder Rosa wants to be, is a fighting champion. So get her out there, do these matches, like do something, Alrighty, so now moving on to this next segment, which oh my God, I just had so many thoughts during this. Oh, Jesus, you guys know what's coming. You all know what's coming. Oh, but let me correct this too, because Devil Within says world title defenses are for pay-per-views. She doesn't have to just like come out and defend the title. I think coming out and even just having matches, period. Like they could do both, honestly. Anyway, so here we go. The Sammy Guevara, Ty Conti, Men of the Year, Dan Lambert segment. So I think we can officially say that Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti are the heels in this without actually I don't think they're supposed to be the heels, but they are the heels. It's just something that happened naturally. Consider it something similar to what we saw with Cody Rhodes, along the same lines. They're getting booed. They're legitimately getting booed out there. It's very clear that the fans do not see them as baby faces whatsoever. Sammy takes the mic and he basically says that he feels on top of the world, that he's now TNT champion for the third time, and then he kisses Ty Conti. He tells her he loves her, and the crowd's like, yuck, right? All right. So then he starts to thank people for the support, like the people that have supported them. He addresses them and thanks them. But then he turns around and he basically starts saying that the people that don't have his back, that it's really just because his girlfriend is hotter than their girlfriends. And then they both in synchronization say, be mad. They tell the audience to be mad. Like, tough shit, be mad, we're the shit. They didn't say all that, but that was the vibe of that. So just with that portion alone, I'm like, okay, so now they have to lean into it. I think now they have to go with Sammy Guevara being a heel and Ty Conti, because that is just the way that they're being presented. And when you're telling the fans, hey, my girlfriend's hotter than yours, like that's officially like a heel thing. When you have couples speaking at the exact same time together, that's going to get under everybody's skin. Everybody's going to be annoyed by that. That is a heel thing too. So I think at this point, they need to lean into it. But now, here's the tough part. Sammy, Paige, and Dan Lambert. Dan Lambert is not the guy that people tend to like. However, Dan Lambert actually got cheered tonight because there were some things that he said that the crowd was like, woo, because the crowd is so anti Sammy and Ty Conti that they are willing to cheer for Dan Lambert. And I'm like, okay, even though they're not supposed to be the baby faces, they are now, in lieu of people hating Sammy and Ty, they are now the baby faces in this, even though they're not supposed to be the baby faces in here. But anyways, so they take the mic and they basically tell them the crowd prefers them over Ty and Sammy, and the crowd agrees, okay? Then, on top of this, Dan Lambert then takes the microphone and tells Sammy Guevara that he's the guy that goes out there and he risks everything in his matches. You know, he risks his body and he puts his body on the line and all of this, but that he's willing to throw all of that away by not being able to keep his tongue out of his girlfriend's mouth. So I'm just like, I don't know what to make of this, but, you know, people are cheering Dan Lambert in this situation. People cheered that. Like, yes, they don't like Sammy, so we're going to cheer for this. Then on top of this, we have this line, the best line of the night because it got the biggest crowd reaction. This was from Dan Lambert. He basically tells Sammy Guevara, quote, "You get to make one choice. You either give Sky his rematch, or I send these two men to give you the type of pounding your girlfriend dreams about." And this got a massive reaction. It was a messed up line, but you know what? It was there, and it got a massive reaction from the people. And so Sammy agrees to this rematch, and it's going to be a ladder match, a TNT ladder match. And then along the lines of this, they also agreed to a future mixed tag team match, but it was not specified, you know, any details on that. But we for sure are getting the TNT ladder match on Dynamite next week. So this whole thing is just this is a little messy, and it kind of goes back to the exact same thing that I said last week. The Dan Lambert character could work in terms of being the super heelish character, but they need to put him in there with a massive baby face for it to work. Unfortunately, Sammy and Ty Conti are not those baby faces. People like Sammy when he's in there having these like awesome matches as TNT champion. You know, people love that match with Cody Rhodes. People love the other matches that he's had. But when it's just Sammy and Ty and not wrestling and it's just the talking, it doesn't seem to connect with the people whatsoever. So now we have this thing where it's like, now we're forced to be cheering. Now the crowd is forced to be cheering for Dan Lambert versus Sammy and Ty. And now it's Sammy and Ty basically throwing certain lines to the people. Now it's safe to assume that they are now heels. Even though I don't think they were supposed to be heels, they're heels now. It's official. It's happened. So let's go ahead and see what you guys thought about this. How do you guys feel about this whole storyline? Like, this is something that could legitimately either A, not happen on the show. This could have been a video vignette. This could have been a quick little thing, and they could have inserted, you know, a match or something for the women. That's what they could have done instead, but whatever. It happened. Let's see what people are saying. The comments are not favorable for Sammy or Ty, but let's see what else we got here. I don't know what to say. Oh man. I'm trying to find a somewhat favorable comment. Hold on. This is from Comic Book Bob, who says, I can't help but feel a little for Sammy and Ty. They got saddled with the Cody Brandy storyline that wasn't working for them either. Yeah, it was the same situation with Brandy and Dan Lambert. Like, people didn't want to cheer for Brandy. People didn't want to cheer for Dan Lambert. And you could not tell who you were supposed to be rooting for. And so the people were just like, well, we don't know who to go for, so let's just shit on the entire thing, right? So I kind of feel like we're in that situation more so now, except that at least this time, Dan Lambert's actually getting some cheers. But that doesn't seem to be working that's not what the intentions of the Dan Lambert character is supposed to be like. He's supposed to be a douche and we're supposed to hate him. But in this situation, we're not hating. Well, at least not a lot of people are hating him. And let's go ahead and move on from here. This is from the Keys Boo, who says, truth be told, Dan Lambert almost turned face when he was feuding with Brandy before she left the territory, before everyone got behind him beating her. Okay, so yeah, people were definitely, I think people were confused. I think people didn't know, like, should we cheer for Dan Lambert? Should we cheer for Brandy? I think there was confusion there. That's how that thing came across for me. And now we're kind of on board with the exact same thing with Sammy and Ty, except that people are realizing that they don't want to cheer for that. People now instead are cheering more so for Dan Lambert than they were for Dan Lambert when he was feuding with Brandy for those couple of weeks there. So it's a little fuzzy, guys. I don't know how else to say it. We got people saying that this was the line of the night for them. It was a good line. It was a burn. It was a real burn. Also, shout out to Ale Rojas, who's watching all the way from Costa Rica. I love Costa Rica. Pura vida. We got a super chat from Jerry Ramey, who says, with the New Japan Pro Wrestling AEW crossover, I'd like to see Adam Page versus Okada versus Tanahashi. I love how you're like, let's go with a triple threat, man. You know, we're out here dream booking the show and what matches we want to see. Yeah. So throw them out there, guys. Let me know what you want to see. Thank you so much to Jerry, excuse me. I mixed your name and your first name, and I just gave you one name. Look at me. I'm Vince. I'm renaming you. Jerry, thank you so much for the support and for the very kind super chat. Alrighty, guys. Let's go ahead and move on from this. This is from Bobby C, who says, Cody and Brandy didn't read the room correctly for the last year, and Cody might run into the same trouble in WWE. As of right now, he's not. I don't know if it's going to happen. We don't know. All right, let's go ahead and move on from here, guys. So after this, we got Danielle Camela versus Britt Baker. This was an Owen Hart Cup qualifying match. Britt, obviously in her hometown, gets a massive pop. Quick match. She ends up winning with the lockjaw. Massive reaction from the crowd, of course, in her hometown. And I was very happy because afterwards, she got to cut a promo here. And it's been a while since we've heard Britt really on the mic. She basically says that, you know, finally they have a woman on the mic that knows what to do with it. I'm not sure if that was a shot at Thunder Rosa or not. I think that may have been a shot to Thunder Rosa. I'm reading them between the lines here. But afterwards, she says that the women's division has been a nightmare without her as champion. And then she starts, you know, running down some of the women. She addresses some comments that Jade Cargill made about her hometown. From here, she says that, you know, that Jade Cargill and her baddies could sit there, her baddies can sit their ass down because she's the baddest bitch on the block, and says she's the future Owen Hart Cup winner. And that was about it, guys. So happy to see that they gave her some mic time, especially in her hometown. She now joins Jamie, Ruby, Red Velvet, and a couple of other girls in the Owen Hart Cup qualifier. All righty. So now, let's go ahead and move on, and we're going to go ahead and talk about the matches that were announced for both Rampage and Dynamite because they were pretty big matchups. So once again, I will be back here on Friday to talk about Rampage this weekend. But Friday at Rampage, we are going to be having an Owen Hart Cup qualifying match between Adam Cole and Tomohiro Ishii. That is the match that I'm going to be looking forward to from here until that happens. Excited. TBS Championship on the line. Finally, we're going to be getting Jade Cargill's 30th match against Marina Shafir. I really hope Jade Cargill defeats Marina Shafir because I just don't think that given what we've seen so far, I think that it's best to keep the title on Jade Cargill. On top of this, Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland will be doing an interview. Cool. Lance Archer versus Serpentico. Cool. Eddie Kingston versus Daniel Garcia, and everybody is banned from ringside. I like that. And then we're also going to be having a women's Owen Hart Cup qualifier interview with Hayter, Storm, Baker, who are all going to be interviewed by Tony Schiavone. So that should be a good time there. On top of this, we got AEW Dynamite lineup for next week, and we got a lot here. Hikaru Shida versus Serena Deeb, and this is going to be a Philly street fight. I'm thinking that this is officially going to be the last match for a long time between both of them. It should be. I don't think that the feud is as hot as it was before. I feel like there's either, I don't know what went wrong, either too much time in between, or just like, there were certain times where we would see them do something, then certain weeks where it was forgotten about. I don't know, but it just doesn't really feel that hot to me right now. I'm still looking forward to the match, especially given the stipulation. Falls very in line with what the story that they've been telling. But in terms of like, I know it's going to be good. I'm just not like clamoring for it per se, because we've kind of seen this, but with the street fight and that added element, I think it will be fun. Wardlow versus Lance Archer. Cool. Owen Hart Cup qualifier. This one was interesting. I rewinded because I was like, wait, did I hear this right? Because they run through these matches really fast, and I rewinded to make sure I understood that we're going to be seeing Dax Harwood versus Cash Wheeler. I bloody love that. I bloody love it. I'm excited for it, and why the hell not? This is good stuff. TNT Championship ladder match, Sammy Guevara versus Scorpio Sky. It's going to be good, guys. Then we're also getting a 10-man tag team match. Adam Cole, the Young Bucks, Red Dragon versus Varsity Blondes, Dante Martin, Lee Johnson, and Brock Anderson. So yeah. All right, but now let's go ahead and jump into this coffin match for the main event. We had Darby Allin versus Andrade El Idolo, and this was okay. I thought it was going to be a little bit better. There were some good spots in this, but it wasn't necessarily the bestest main event, in my opinion. Like, I feel like I've seen better from Darby, and I feel like I've seen better from Andrade. So I don't know if maybe it was just not enough time. I just think it could have been a little bit better, but whatever. There were some good moments that I liked from this. One of them being Mark Quinn ripping up a sign that was being held by a person in a Sting match that ended up being a Sting mask, that ended up being Sting. I thought that was really clever. That was fun. We saw Sting go crazy again and do a crossbody off of the freaking platform from the crowd area. That was pretty freaking great. We go to a commercial break. We come back from the commercial break. We see Darby go for a coffin drop, but Andrade catches him, does a suplex. I liked that little thing. That was cool. We see that they incorporate thumbtacks into the coffin walls. When you open it, you have the tacks in there. I thought that was a nice little added addition to that. Andrade ends up suplexing Darby into the crate on the stage. That was another decent spot. It was a good spot, but we've just seen Darby go through a lot worse. So I don't necessarily think that people were like, it didn't garner the pop that I think that they might have hoped that it got. Because again, we've seen Darby just do like crazier stuff, right? After this, there's a really funny moment in which Andrade tries to like destroy the casket. He tries to destroy it. He's like kicking it. And there's a moment where like for a split second, his boot gets stuck in one of those like tacks, or he gets stuck somewhere in the casket. Oh, it was hilarious. I love that. But he tries to ruin the casket. He tries to destroy it, but it just does not happen for him whatsoever. So the makers of that casket did a really good job because it was not breaking whatsoever. After this, for the finish, it was kind of telegraphed because you can see Andrade pulling in the casket, like he brings it in closer, and then you see Darby go in, do the tope. He falls on Andrade. Andrade's body goes right into the casket. We see Jose, the assistant, come out. He blocks Darby from being able to close it. So he ends up putting Jose, the assistant, through the tacks, and after that he manages to close the casket and get the win on Andrade. So again, I just think that it could have been a little bit I think it could have been a little bit better, but it was fine for what it was. But it's a match that I'm going to forget in a couple of weeks, though. So this one wasn't, I didn't think there was anything super memorable about this match for me, at least. So let's see what else we got here and see what people are saying. This is from Andrew, who says, I think the main event would have been better if they have kept it in the ring without the extra people. Things got so chaotic that it didn't feel like they were telling a story much. Yeah, I think that people wanted to go in and they wanted to see Andrade and Darby. I don't think we needed a lot of the outside stuff. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Like there was a little bit of that disconnection there. So I do feel you on that. This is from the Cooge, who says, I love Darby, but I was really pulling for Andrade tonight. I think he's due for a run at the TNT title unless there are plans to reunite Los Ingobernables in AEW Ring of Honor. And then let's go ahead and see. Bruce LB says 100% it was because they didn't have enough time. It kind of felt like it. I think that with all of the outside stuff that they did, it kind of took away from the actual time. And then plus we had a commercial break between that, during that main event. So I think that all of that kind of took away from the focus of the actual match there. But we got another super chat from Jerry Ramey, who says, curious about the purple mask behind you over your left shoulder. Oh my God, you scared me. I was like, purple mask? I was like, what are we talking about? Where are we going? So yeah, I know this is like the where is it at? Yeah, it's my Punisher mask. It's really awesome. Let me just move it a little bit here so you guys, sorry, the poop emoji is in the way. I get all of my masks online. Some of them are gifts. Some of them I purchased myself. I like to add things to my collection. So thank you for commenting. Alrighty. And let's go ahead and see what we got here. Anything else about this? This is from Labor Days, who says, Jose's always trying to get over is a major problem with Andrade. I think Jose should be fired. Disgraceful and insulting to the business. Oh man. All right, guys. So there you go. That was AEW Dynamite for today. Holy shit, I got so freaking scared right now. Oh my God. Sorry, guys. So I moved the freaking this thing to show the mask a little bit better. And then the window on the outside is open and it's dark. And I heard like a croak, like a "arr." And I was like, oh my God, there's someone outside the window. No, at the exact same time, I pressed the freaking poop emoji and it farted. And I thought it was a creeper outside my window. Sorry, for a split second, I freaking got scared. I was like, what is happening? Anyway, so there you go, guys. Sorry about that. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you guys. If you enjoyed this show, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel as always. Other than that, I will see you back here on Friday night for SmackDown and Rampage coverage. Bye, everybody.